Hello and welcome back to London Cycle Routes. Today I'll be showing you how to cycle from Twickenham in southwest London to Brentford in West London. This ride takes a little over 15 minutes and you can do the whole thing on quiet streets and protected cycle lanes. By public transport, the same journey takes about half an hour, so you can definitely save time by cycling this one. If you find this video useful or you just enjoy watching it, then please don't forget to hit the bell icon and subscribe to the channel, as I try to post new videos just like it every week. I'd also like to say a huge thank you to everyone who supports the channel on Patreon. If you'd like to contribute as well, you can find a link in the description of the video. And to regular viewers, apologies for not posting a video over the last couple of weeks due to Christmas. We'll be returning to our regular schedule this Sunday. Alright, let's get going. So we're starting on London Road just outside Twickenham station, and we're taking this little terracotta coloured path on the pavement to Cole Park Road. This street is very quiet and extremely pleasant to ride on. Various no entry signs and one-way systems basically make it no use for motor traffic trying to avoid the main road, so as a result it's basically like a low traffic neighbourhood, and you could easily take kids down here. It's very quiet at all times of day. This video from Twickenham to Brentford starts a little bit further north of Twickenham town centre than I would really like it to. That's because there's not a particularly comfortable way into the centre of Twickenham by bike from this direction. Ideally, we would get segregated cycle lanes running past the station on London Road. But as you can see, when we are on this route, it is actually quite good and extremely quiet. And of course, for those of you watching when this was released around Christmas time in 2022, you'll notice that the weather is a lot sunnier than it actually is outside at the moment, and that's because I filmed it during the summer and I've been saving it. I don't know about you guys, but watching this is definitely making me look forward to the spring. Now, Cole Park Road used to continue straight across here, but there's actually been a major A road built here since the 1930s, and we're having to use this shared pavement to get to a cycle crossing here. You can see this is a token crossing, it's button activated, and you're allowed to cycle on it because you can see the cycle symbols up on the lights there. It's actually a bit of a detour, and it would be much better to have a good crossing across the road here. Interestingly, the road that we're going to on this side of Chertsey Road is also still called Cole Park Road, and my understanding is that link was severed in the 1930s when the highway was built. Although you won't see many signs for it, this section is actually technically an official cycle route called London Cycle Network 75, so it would make sense to improve the cycle crossing over that road. At the end of Cole Park Road, bear right and go onto what looks like a pavement, but is actually another one of those terracotta cycle tracks, although it doesn't last long. One thing I do find interesting doing these videos is seeing different boroughs' approaches to designing the same thing at different points in time. It's interesting, although it doesn't make for a very consistent experience. To be fair, I think we are now moving more in the direction of standardisation. We're now going to pick up a relatively new TfL route called Cycleway 40, and you'll see it says C40 on the ground next to the cycle symbols, and that's your cue to follow those arrows, which will help you find the way. C40 is a bit of a mixed bag. There's been some work done on this street, Warple Avenue. It's been resurfaced and had some cycle-friendly speed bumps put in, just like that. They're also known as sinusoidal speed humps, by the way, after the shape of a sine wave, because that's what shape they are. That's most of the heavy engineering that's needed here, and it does make it a little bit more comfortable to cycle on, but to be honest, the main thing that's needed and missing is a modal filter. Despite being a narrow residential street running parallel to the A310, which is engineered for heavy traffic, motor traffic is still allowed to use this street as a cut through to avoid the main road. It does, as you can see, have quite a lot of cars coming down it, particularly considering just how narrow it is with the parking on either side. It would make a lot of sense to turn this area into a low traffic neighbourhood, or even just put a single modal filter on the street. So digging up and physically redesigning the street may have been the expensive bit, but it isn't the bit that's actually going to deliver a safe cycle route. That will require either just a line of bollards or a camera closure. It'll also require political will from Hounslow Council, which controls the road and, to be fair, has in the past been pretty good on cycling schemes. For this next section of C40, use the Twickenham crossing to get to the other side of South Street and join this excellent protected cycle track. Unfortunately, it only goes for a very short way, but it does stop us from having to use the very busy main road. We're now going to go into Upper Square, and whenever I see a street with square in its name that's clearly not a square, I always feel a bit sad because you know it probably did used to be a square before motor traffic was run through it. Maybe one day we can see that square closed off to cars and turned into a pedestrian space again. There is a nice looking pub on it, which I'm sure could benefit from a bit more outdoor seating. We've just turned onto Manor House Way, and despite the car veering towards us, this street is usually pretty quiet. That's because of the nice new modal filter that's just been installed on the other side of the bridge, which stops it from being used as a rat run. That bridge is actually over the grandly named Duke of Northumberland's River, by the way. It was actually constructed in the reign of King Henry VIII and was built to power mills on the Duke of Northumberland's estate. To our right is the River Thames, and if you were to look behind us, you would see the Isleworth Eyot, which is a small island on the River Thames. It used to be used to grow willow, which was used commercially and sold at markets in London. However, it is now owned by private water company Thames Water, which uses it as a sewage outfall. So we're now going to turn right off Church Lane into Syon Park. Now, as you can see, we went through a gate here and we're now on what looks like a private road. My understanding is that that gate is always open and it doesn't close at night. That's mainly because there's actually a Hilton Hotel on this site and it needs to be accessed via the road. So you can use this street at night. There is, however, one downside to it, which is that, as you can see, there are not any lampposts on it and it is not lit. In fact, the TfL Cycleway sign actually says at the mouth of the road, brackets, unlit route, which is actually something I've not seen anywhere else in London, and a bit of interesting trivia. That roaring above our heads, by the way, is planes going down to land at Heathrow Airport. West London does have a big issue with plane noise. As you saw there were actually quite a few cars on that road, and it does only lead to the car park for Syon Park. So I think it was particularly busy today because it was filmed on a really hot weekend where a lot of people were driving to go to Syon Park. If you've not heard of it before, Syon Park is a historic stately home which is open to visitors in the summer, and it was the seat of the Duke of Northumberland, who had that river built. This coming up is a little bit depressing for an official cycle route. There is a chicane there. In fact, it's a quadruple chicane with 4 barriers. That will create conflict with cycles and pedestrians coming in opposite directions, and it could also be unlawful under the Equality Act because it could prevent some disabled cyclists from passing through. For most people, it will just be annoying. Now, we've made it to London Road in the west of Brentford, and this is basically where we need to go. I'm going to show you how to get to the river here. It's not a particularly nice cycle route and we're just going to be in a bus lane. It's only for a short period of time, but fortunately Cycleway 9, which will be full protected lanes all the way through Brentford and to Hounslow, is going to be extended through Brentford, so very soon you won't have to do that section on the main road to get here, and actually you'll be able to go all the way east into Hammersmith and Kensington Olympia. And I'll definitely do a video linking Twickenham and Isleworth and Brentford into that because I think that will be brilliant. So thank you. I hope you agree that that was a pretty decent route, although I did flag up quite a lot of bits where it could be significantly improved. Don't forget to hit the bell icon and subscribe to the channel. And if you really like what we're doing, you could always check out the Patreon and chuck us a couple of quid. Thanks very much, and I'll see you again next time.